All right, welcome. I actually, when I'm wearing these leather pants, I'm playing the trumpet, and next year I might bring my trumpet along, and then we can hang out together with the drummer. I really like that thinking, but maybe without the leather pants. A little bit about me, because I heard that everyone is doing this ego slide thingy, so I do that as well. Here are a couple of companies I worked with in the past. This is my own company that I started recently. I'm doing guest lectures for the University of Bern. This is my previous company that I worked for. This is how I spend my life. I write code, I build products, I coach people, I do trainings with people, I help organizations to get better in whatever they are doing. I'm also writing, training, and speaking, yes. These are my two favorite babies. So if you come to the Ask Me Anything corner, and if you ask me a good question, you will get one of those books. So this is one of my babies, Machines Clone People. That's a recent book that just came out. And the other baby is the Software Craftsmanship Community in Zurich, which I'm very proud host of. And we are organizing once a month meetings where we get together and we practice things. I'm pretty sure there exists something like that also here in Lithuania. A little bit about you. Okay, what do you do in software? Who is analyzing requirements, the business, things like that? Can you show me some hands? Who is analyzing stuff? Oh, that's not so many. I would say 10 people. Who is discovering products, ideas, visions? Oh, there are a couple of, yeah, I saw 10 people at least. Who is designing software? Who is designing products? Who is designing architectures? No one? Okay, yeah, shy hands, cool. Who is coding? Who is writing code? Who is writing test code? Who is writing scripts? Who is writing build automation stuff? Oh, I see a lot of hands, 50%. Who is testing? Who is testing products? Who is testing their work? Who is testing, trying to break systems, trying to embrace, yeah, cool. Yes, I would say 80%. Who is architecting? Who is doing the big picture stuff? Raise your hands. How many architecting people have in the room? Yeah, five, cool. Who is documenting stuff? We need to write documentation, yes. So we write down what we did for the user, for us, for other people. 10% I would say. Who is coaching others? Whatever that means. Who is helping others to get better? We have a lot of coaches in the room. I would also say 30%. Who is managing people, managing stuff, managing whatever we are managing? Also a lot of managers. I would say 30%. Yes, cool. I'm asking this question because a lot of times people hold up their hands a lot of times, which is a good thing because we are coding, we are architecting, we are designing, we are testing our stuff, and we're also documenting. And I try to think less in roles and titles, but more in activities. So we're doing a lot of stuff, but I'm not necessarily a tester. This is another mindset that I want to give you. You can't be agile if your testing practices sucks, if your testing mindset sucks. So I want to talk about two things, agile and the testing mindset. Now, why do I want to talk about agile? I want to talk about agile because about 8 years ago, we were working with a large financial provider in Switzerland, where I'm living at the moment. And the financial provider, we built a product for them. It was a large web application where international clients could do stuff. And he was very happy with that. And he said, oh, wow, what are you guys doing differently? And we said, yeah, we're doing Scrum. And he said, oh, no, Scrum, that's no good. Don't talk about Scrum in here. They were burned with that. So we said, okay, we do Agile. Okay, Agile. That's the secret silver bullet we were looking for. Okay, so this customer, he said, by 2015, so that was 4 years ago, they had a big town hall where they said, in 5 years, the third bullet point on that slide was saying, 50% of our projects need to be agile. Big town hall, a lot of senior managers are there and they're talking about that stuff. And I thought to myself, yay, that's so cool. I'm the agile guy. I want that everyone is doing this agile stuff. But then I realized, what does that even mean? 50% of the projects are agile. And then I came to this conclusion. Is this what agile is about? We are putting a lot of post-its on the wall. Are we then agile? Or we use Jira, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. We just install Jira and then we are agile. Is this what agile is about? Or the Spotify model? We just install squads now. We have the Spotify model put over our organization and then suddenly we are agile? Or people hanging around in the team room, having a little bit of fun, hanging a lot of post-its up there, making a little bit of noise and fun. Is this what agile is about? Or pair programming? That must be agile. We just do pair programming and then we are agile. Is that what agile is about? Let's step back a little bit. Let's start with the pain. I do a lot of these workshops with the senior management and I talk to them about their current challenges in their organizations. Now, what do you fear? What are you struggling with? And what are your pains in your organizations? And what they're saying is, this is a collection from different workshops. We lack innovation. We have operational issues. This is not working with my people, the mindset, whatever that means, but it's not working. No time for improvements. We are too slow. Late delivery, too little visibility, too many dependencies to manage, poor moral, too many issues in production, firefighting. Timelines are not predictable, morale is low, problems discovered very late, hiring great people. Great people leave the company. That's a huge problem. Competition, the market, low employee satisfaction. People are very busy certain time, but certain time the team is not doing anything. They have the wrong mindset. I hear that a lot. And quality is low, feedback is very low, lack of know-how, too many regulations, ISO norms, laws, compliance rules. These are some things that I hear from senior management. Do they sound familiar with you? Some of those? Yeah, okay. I see some hands, 10%, few, cool. Now, which pain of those is gone with Agile? I don't know. Let's talk about Agile. Now, what Agile is not. Management wants, do just what I say, just faster. But is that Agile? I don't know. We need 3 more programmers. Use Agile programming methods. Agile programming doesn't just mean we're doing more work with fewer people. Find me some words that do mean that and ask again. This is the classic Dilber, but Agile is not cheaper. This is actually an advertisement on the Zurich airport, just discovered yesterday. This is actually me sitting here, ready for Agile private banking. Now, what does that mean? What is Agile private banking? That sounds cool, scary. I don't know, private banking and Agile, interesting. So what is Agile then? Before I give you my answer, I want to hear yours. Now, I give you 2 minutes to actually talk to your neighbor. So talk to your neighbor and answer this question. What is Agile for you? Do an elevator pitch in pairs. And the time starts now. Where is Jonas? Do you want to share your definition? Do you want to try? To share the definition. Yes, please shout out. Yes. Cool, I love it. Doing things in small steps and learning by doing. This empirical process. I like that. Very cool. Thank you very much. Before I give you my definition, we need to define other things first. Now we need to define what a company is. A company is a system of people and combinations and things like that that solves external problems and makes more money than it spends. Now this is the very commercial view of a company. I'm not talking about NGOs and other things. But this is my definition that comes from different books and stuff, by providing products or services to this outside customer, the user. Now hopefully we are not just having one, but millions of those. That would be a good thing. Back to Agile. So for five years ago, there was this Twitter feed going on from Jeff Sutherland where he said, okay, we want to have a Twitter definition about Agile. Please don't make pictures of this one because I don't like this definition anymore. I changed my mind a little bit. But a mindset to deliver value fast and continuously improving the way doing it. So baby steps, improving the way doing it. That's pretty good, I think. But I missed one important point. This mindset to survive our complex world as per the Agile Manifesto, that's the key. The Agile Manifesto is really where the essence of Agile is written in. And if we talk about Agile, we should really mention that. Who has seen the Agile Manifesto out of you guys? Oh, a lot of you. Cool, cool. I would say 80%. Who has not seen the Agile Manifesto before? Cool, I would say around 5%. Who doesn't want to raise their hands now because I don't feel comfortable? I can understand that. Maybe we need to use Slido for that. So what's VUCA? A mindset to survive our complex VUCA world. Now, VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. This is what the management boards are talking about. VUCA is a very common term. They talk about risks and they talk about VUCA. So that's something that you can embrace as a term. It basically means I don't know. But can you admit that you don't know? I think you should. Otherwise, someone else will. Uber, the world's largest taxi company, owns no vehicles. Airbnb, world's largest accommodation provider, owns no real estate. Facebook, world's most popular media provider, creates no content. TikTok is the same. Instagram, most valuable photo company, sells no cameras. Netflix, fastest growing television network, lays no cables. Alibaba, world's most valuable retailer, has no inventory. So these companies are entering your market and they are changing the whole game. So can you admit that they are there, or what's your reaction to it? So the why of Agile is really we want to generate more value with less work. This is what Agile is about. I have some more definitions. Another definition is operational agility. How quick can we deliver value in the form of a product or feature to changing demands from the market? So we focus on the inner circle. This is the DevOps stuff. This is the automation stuff. This is all the inner parts. We focus on the inner grind circle of the company. We have a customer and we are trying to deliver value to him faster. This is nice. It's nice to have operational agility, but I think this is the key here, strategic agility. Strategic agility means how quick can an organization improve its competitive position and create opportunities for growth. So we mean, hey, there is another customer, another user outside we don't know yet. So that's an interesting thinking. So we focus on the outer green circle. So instead of in the company, we focus on the outside. Now, who knows what that is? This is a picture of the first digital camera that was invented 1973 from a guy called Steven Sasson. Now, interesting here is he was working for Kodak. And as you may know, Kodak is not existing anymore as a photographic film company. Now what happened? He invented the first digital camera, but Kodak basically got killed from the whole market with digital cameras. What happened? It happened that he went to the management board. The management board said, shh, don't tell anyone, this is a nice toy, but don't tell anyone about it. We're making shitloads of money with our traditional work. We don't want to invent and bring up new products in our market. Now, what is missing here with Kodak? The customer focus. The customer focus is invaluable, and that's a very, very key part that Kodak were missing. And the sad story, the company is not there anymore. So customer focus is very important. Peter Schwarzenbauer, 2 years ago from BMW Management Board said, we are seeing more change in the next 15 years than in the last 15 years. The big question is always, do we car manufacturers learn to become tech companies more quickly than a tech company learns to be an automotive player? So he knows, okay, there are things happening in America, there are things happening in China, they're building new cars, automotive, electric, autonomous driving, all that things. He's aware of that. But he's missing an important point. What is he missing? The big tech players, they are solving a different problem. The car is not the problem. They're solving a complete different problem. They're solving a mobility problem, transportation problem. They're thinking about society, about city life, about generations, about the environment, about how we live together, how we work together. So these tech companies, they are always one step ahead, even with these traditional companies. So back to the pain. So I actually clustered the pain in these 4 categories for you. And from the pain, I actually discovered 4 major challenges. The first challenge is, how can I slice a vision to 1-week outcomes? The second is the good engineering skills, the testing mindset, the embracing the stuff. The third one is the continuous improvement that is missing in a lot of teams and a lot of organization. And the last one is the leadership part, serving and helping others, being a role model. Now from that, I actually want to go now into the direction of, okay, let's tell us what to do, Peter. First thing, stop talking agile. Stop talking about the agile things, because that leads you to this template zombie. As a user, I want it all to fucking work so that people don't get fired. As the database, I want to add a column, settlement date, to the transaction table. What? What are we doing here? This is template thinking, and I want to get rid of that. So instead of Scrum says, but this is not agile, or XP recommends, or you must be co-located for XP, we stop that language and we start to talk about customer, risk, the market, the competition, value. Where can we make money? Is this really a good idea? How can we validate our assumptions? Things like that. So the question, how do we become agile, is actually a bad question, because it doesn't matter. What matters is, how can we discover and deliver your value faster? Where is the value where we can't see it yet? Now, you should ask me, hey, Peter, you're talking about value. What does that mean? This is so fluffy. Now, I give you a couple of things to think about. Every time you see here a to-do slide, to-do means there is some homework waiting for you. There is this evidence-based management guide that has a lot of metrics on how to measure value. Release frequency, customer satisfaction, revenue per employee, installed version index, innovation rate, and all these metrics. They give you inspiration on how to measure value. Very helpful. Another one I also like is either pirate metrics, acquisition rates, retention rates, and things like that. That is also value we want to talk about. So we're not talking about story points or velocity. We want to talk about what's really valuable to do. Google's Heart, these are the UX metrics, which you also can find out. So the bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of low price is forgotten. The poor quality remains. And what I observe a lot with organizations is this kind of thing. So we start off, we are pushing out a lot of features, but slowly over time it gets harder and harder and harder. Who has been in this situation? Yeah, 50%. Who has not been in this situation? Just curious. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, interesting. Because usually when I come along, the teams are already here, which is bad because I want to be there when I can actually help them to get better. So what happens actually with the rest of our time? We're still 8 hours in the office. What happens down here? What's that? We are fighting complexity. The systems grows, the infrastructure grows. There is a little shortcut that Steve did last weekend just to get the product out. there was this little architecture glimpse. We said, let's forget it. Let's send the emails from the database. Yes, that's okay. Then we can be much faster. Things like that happen all the time, but they cause a lot of friction. So you're getting slower and slower and slower. And the worst thing is if you're so slow that you're basically killing your product. That's the bad situation. We don't want to end up there. So what could we actually do to not run into this situation here? We could invest time in complexity fighting all the time. So over time, when you think about here, we are still able to deliver features. Now people ask me, hey Peter, how much do you want? Do you spend in quality? I don't know. I see people doing 20% of their time here fighting complexity, clean code, refactoring, all that professional behavior. Or I see it also 30 or 40. And I talk about budgets. So I give the teams or the organization budgets, and I tell, hey, you have certain time where you can improve the system. And this is very important that people are aware, hey, you have time and you can actually use that time. So you could use a budget up here for the product owners. Hey, you have certain time available and the rest of the time is for the team to improve quality. Or the other way down here where you say, hey team, you have reserved 2 days for the whole team where you can rearrange stuff and improve infrastructure, monitoring your data center stuff and things like that. So back to the major challenges. So here I want to focus on the good engineering skills. How would you slow down your project or product? How would you do that? I have one easy way. You write that kind of code. Now, if you see this code and you have a manager in the room, you can tell the manager, hey, this is easy. Don't focus about the details. If you want to know, is this clean code or bad code, just turn your head 90 degrees. If you see here the Italian Alps, then it's bad code. It's that easy. Every manager can figure that out. Maybe he's asking then different questions later on, but that's an easy way to figure out this is bad code. And yes, this is bad code, and this slows us down. Just another if statement. Just another if statement. I hear that a lot. So why do we write bad code? I have 3 hypotheses for you. So the first one is the broken window theory that I assume a lot of people have seen before. Can I just see some hands who has seen the broken window theory? Yeah, 5%. So the broken window theory goes like that if something is a bit broken, it rots over time very easily because people say, it's already in a bad shape. I just add my stuff to it. I just break it a little bit more and things like that. So things rotten over time because people don't care. There is already 10 if statements. Yeah, what about another one? Doesn't really matter. So this is the broken window theory. Second hypothesis, we write bad code because we read bad code. If you have never seen good code, how would you actually write good code? So it's like Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny. If you've never seen good code, then it's very hard. So we need to read good code to make code easier to read. And if we can make code easy to read, then we can also easy to maintain. That's the key message here. I have a couple of points regarding code readings, code reviews. Who does code reviews in some form? Yes, 20% I would say. Who does peer work reviews? So you're reviewing any work. Not so many. Okay, yeah, 20%. Who does pair programming? This is a more modern technique, let's say. Yes, I see 10%. Where is there? Mob programming? Yes, not so many. I would say 2. Pre-commit checks. So this is reading the code before committing. Yeah, I see it 1. Who is using Garrett, which is a tool that I don't see so much? 1, I think. Come to me to the Ask Me Anything corner afterwards. Pull requests, that's a very popular one. Everyone is using pull requests and feature branching, GitHub flows and all what they are called. Who is actually an open source committer or writer or reader? How many open source contributors do we have in the room? Some of you. 2 hands, I think. Cool. I give you some tips for code reviews. We want to review the code and not the person. That's key. And we want to constructively propose changes. Now, what's a way to do that? There's an easy way. You just ask questions. If you ask a question, it's very hard to actually go into the person, their problems. And we are reviewing not just tests, but also the build process. Everything that is there, we can actually review. And that actually allows you to grow as a team, because then you're socializing, you're talking about work. The best teams that I've seen, they actually went through tough situations. So we are not going to the team building exercises, we're doing balbos or we're building a boat, but tough situations that really brings a team together and grows as a team. So instead of that lousy long method, you can say, why don't you split that method? I reviewed the code and found 1, 2, 3 to change. Can you help me? If you don't want to do it, I do it. Please don't say that. Can I help you with this? I think we can improve it. So this is completely just a different language we're using. It helps a lot to embrace this thing. A little bit about pair programming. We defined already what pair programming is. Usually that looks like that though. So who is the junior here? And who is the senior? He's out of there. So this is not what we want to see in pair programming. So there is an easy way to do that. And this is from Llewellyn Falco. It's called strong style pair programming. If you're doing pair programming, try to embrace best practice. This is a bit more advanced technique, but it raises this level of communication to a different level. And it helps you to get rid of these things. So mob programming is the idea, one team at the same time, same thing, same space, same computer. We are focusing on one thing, which is quite challenging. This is something we did in the evening in our meetup, in our software craftsmanship meetup, and you can see here beers. This is something I would not recommend. But in the evening, I think that's okay. So if you're reviewing code, you want to do that in your team with one peer. And also, I quite like to review open source code. Just open up GitHub and try to find source code, and then you talk about it in your team. What do they do differently? What's likely to see? Brown bags or lunchtime discussions. I have a couple of links here just to show you a couple of GitHub links where you can actually read good code that I think is quite good to get inspired. And good code is like a joke. Why? There is no need for an explanation. Because if you need to explain a joke, then it's probably not a good one. Third hypothesis, no one can write good code in one sitting, so there is no right the first time. So you're not able to write code and then it's perfect. That's my hypothesis. So what do we do then? We do refactoring. So the developer says, I need a couple of weeks to refactor the big mess we have, and the manager says, that's impossible. I give you only 1-2 days. And the developer says, yes, okay. And that's not the professional behavior we want to see, because this is scary. This is risky. This could kill someone. This could kill the whole company. This could kill the reputation. This is the dangerous part. So if you want to practice refactoring, I have 2 links here for you. Gilded Rose and Refactoring Cutters. Here you get inspired and you can take this home and try to do those exercises in your team. But there is a little issue with refactoring. The little issue is refactoring without tests. It's unclear what works and what doesn't, and we are never done. So if you don't have tests, how do you do refactoring? It's an adventure with maybe not a good happy end. So we need tests in order to refactor our code, because then we can change and refactor without fear. We can say, hey, everything is still green, everything still works. But there's a problem. If you think about refactoring and tests, and you talk to your manager about refactoring and tests, what would they say? They say, there's no business value in tests, refactoring. Why do you do that? Stop doing that. Just write the code, build the product. Don't spend time on refactoring. Could be that you need to do some coaching then. But I think about refactoring and tests, that's actually test-driven development if you think about it. With test-driven development, you write a test, you're green, and then you refactor. Actually, this is my interpretation of test-driven development. You need to think about it. Think about the first test. Not just start coding, but think about it. Talk to your team. Talk to them on the whiteboard. Make a little sketch where you want to go with that product. And when you have finished thinking, you go there and write the first failing test. watch it fail, minimum test, write the minimum to make it pass. Watch it pass, refactor. And this is the interesting part because design is happening here. In the first one, you're describing the end, what do you wish to see, and in the refactoring step, you're improving the inner design. And you might realize now, wow, that might be actually very hard. And it's actually very hard in my experience. Because you need to do TDD outside in, what we call it. Outside in means we want to solve this problem that I illustrated on that slide. The problem is the developer has something in their heads, the business people have something in their heads, the user interface people have something in their heads, and the ops people have something in their heads. And if the developer needs to do a mapping here between their world to their world, that is a lot of danger for bugs. And if you have this mapping between these two people, you miss a lot of communication. You have a high risk of introducing bugs. I'll give you an example. I had one customer, they were talking about accounts in their business world, and the developers in their code base were calling it customer IDs. So every time they were talking together, they needed to map their language, and that's very, very risky. This is just a very obvious example. Now, in order to get rid of that, domain-driven design is a very important tool to help you there, because you start with the domain and you start outside in. Test-driven development, so what does that mean? Is it testing? No. Is it designing? No. Is it learning? Oh, that's good. I actually think it's a thinking technique. How do I approach a new product? And this is why I love the testing mindset, because we start with the end in mind. So where do you want to go with this product? Where do you want to go with that feature? Let's start with the end in mind and let's work together on how to get there. It comes from the 7 habits of highly active people. Now, in order to be a good test-driven development person, you need to practice. There are 2 pointers I can give you. On November 16th, there is the Global Day of Code Retreat, where you can actually go there. It's a Saturday, sorry. But you can go there and you can practice test-driven development for one day, which is a good thing, very cool. And there are peers all over the world. And I assume somewhere here is Lithuania. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure there is also a community where you can learn that. It's about this craftsmanship tool about test-driven development. All fine. Peter, we are here. What should we do? Now, this is a tricky position if you're here and you have a lot of complexity already built up. But in my mind, only one thing that works is proper root cause analysis. This is a slide I actually added because I wanted to test the projector, and it looks quite nice actually. Cool. Proper root cause analysis. How does proper root cause analysis work? In my experience, it works like that. You gather data on a sprint board. So I guess you have something like Jira, TFS, Trello, Azure DevOps, or whatever, a tool or a physical board where you move work through the system. And every time you have finished a bug or an incident or something, you ask the question, how could this bug have been prevented? Then you make a better code review or an integration test or a manual exploratory test or usability test or whatever. You collect that data during the sprint. Then you cluster and analyze this data in the retrospective, where you dive in, why do we have so many bugs in the integration tests sector? What can we do about that? 5 whys, why? And the third one is delegate the work to the team. So do the deep dive. And now in my experience, this is the hardest part. Because here you need to dive under the hood. Data centers, JVMs, runtimes, networks, firewalls. What happened in production last Friday at 7 p.m.? Do we have logs? No, we don't have logs. Oh, okay, maybe we should start there. You need to work a lot here. And in my experience, this is the hard part, because you need to figure out what happened. Now, once you found this, I want to see how can you actually prevent this in the future. Very, very important point. So do you install a monitoring, a test, an automated system, an architectural fitness function, or whatever, to actually make sure that this is not going to happen again? And then I want to maximize the learning. So these are the 5 steps. Maximize learning means what I learned, what we learned as a team, we want to spread that in the organization, because we want to have a learning organization where we share know-how in the organization. From the individual to the teams to the organization. I'm not saying this is easy. You you might have realized, but this is a key for me in order to improve and get better in your work. Proper root cause analysis. So this is a slide that I collected the 5 steps. If you want to take a picture, that would be a good opportunity. I am not sure why I'm saying that, because the slides are online as well, but yeah, doesn't matter. All right, because we want to end up here. We want to make money. We want to make products that are sustainable over a long time, so we can build and add new features, tweak it a little bit, improve, jump into different markets and make a lot of money. We want to see this smile in our managers. How can we sell this investment? We can say to the managers, hey, well-tested and well-crafted code is expensive. Yes, we know that. We need to spend time, we need to spend money into quality. But if we don't do that, fixing bad code and fixing bad products is very, 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 very expensive. And if you talk like that to the managers, that, in my experience, help. So Agile, Lean, Scrum, Kanban, DevOps, all that stuff doesn't really matter. What matters really is to get better at understanding your future customer and providing value faster. Thank you very much.